Hello, beautiful beings. I just recorded a video and went to watch it, and I had a big, huge piece of white fuzz in my eyebrow from my stocking cap. It was just way too distracting. I just told Ocean that I was going to upload it anyway, but and then I erased it. Ancients, what would we like to talk about? I'm not really feeling. Okay, they said just wait. It's hard after recording a whole video to just let it flow again. My mind is wanting to grasp what we were just talking about. Ever since my freedom video, I've been feeling I thought it was just happiness, but it's effortlessness. Happiness is the perfume of effortlessness, they said. They're saying right now. And it's the releasing of resistance. And ever since I have released more resistance that day, well, it wasn't just that day, it was years and years of practice. I know that helped a lot, was practicing turning my attention away from the thoughts that had the potential. It's like turning my attention to them. There was the potential of becoming unconscious as I was thinking about them. And so for the practice for almost 11 years now has been to turn my attention away from the thoughts that I would become unconscious thinking. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's because I'm trying really hard to just let it flow through instead of thinking about what I just recorded. So around my freedom video time, Dothra, my oldest daughter, that's one of the names that I call her. She calls me Mothra, so I started calling her Dothra. Right around the freedom video, a bit before that, she was saying, I don't know anything. And we've heard, ascended masters and other people say that I don't know anything. And it has always really resonated with me. But when she said it a month or so ago now, it really, really resonated with me. It's like, no, I don't either. I don't know anything either. And this morning she called me and we hold really, really beautiful song. All three of my daughters and I do, and Ocean, and Moonstar. So she said I don't need to feel like I have to fulfill some type of huge destiny on the planet in this lifetime. I don't have to feel like I need to do something to help the planet in such a huge way. I don't have to do that. I don't have to believe that. She said, I can just be happy. I can have a happy life. And, oh, yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. Just the release of, I feel that it's a culmination of things for sure. But ever since the freedom video, I have been feeling this effortlessness, this release of resistance. And so along with that has come more activity from my twin because I have released more resistance. I got to a place, my persona needed to get to a place to where I said, even if he got divorced, I would not speak to him. And I got there. Finally was able to make that decision for myself. And if you haven't been through the twin flame lesson, then you're not going to understand. Judge away. So I was really afraid for a couple days because since my major shift, he's been way more present because I've relaxed more. And the love songs from, I feel that he gets love songs from my higher self and I get love songs from his higher self on the astral. They've been waking me up. Ones I haven't thought about for many, many, many months now. I got woke up last night. What is it? Abba, magic. Yeah, that one, I have to believe we are magic. Yeah, that one woke me up in the middle of the night last night. I was just like, wow, how does that happen? That's really, really something. And I love how this life seems to give us do-overs because now since he's coming in so strongly again, I feel that releasing the resistance and you know, because it's been very painful. This has been excruciatingly painful, this lesson has been. And so it has, even though it hasn't felt really good, uh, it's been better than the pain that I was going through when I was really just still really longing for him. I was worried that that would all come back, the longing. Oh, that was the worst part of it for sure. I feel there will always be a type of pull towards him, a type of uncomfortableness because he is in my experience, he's in my energy and in my thoughts so much every single day. But the do-over in this one is now that he's well, back right now anyway, it's really not making me sad. It's not hurting. So that feels really, really good. And Moonstar is in union with her twin, which is absolutely magical. It's miraculous. His energy, I can feel and read people's energy when I'm not around them. And so when she started talking about him, uh, maybe I'll tell you the story of how they reunited. That's pretty magical in itself. But his energy used to be so toxic to me that if I was ever around him, I found myself backing up. And he actually asked her that this time, why did Mamaji always back up when I was around? And she said, because she didn't like your energy. She's an empath. And you had very toxic energy and she did not like it. She could not be by you. And he didn't say anything, but he's taking things in now. And I saw him, those guys, a couple days ago. I'm doing this because it was over at the storage units here at the RV park. And he looks 8 to 10 years younger than he did before. He's been through the dark night for the last many, 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 many months of their separation. You know, we've held satsang about her because she's been going through the longing feeling and you know, just it's physically painful. That longing can be physically painful. And so we would hold satsang and I don't try to, but since we're talking about him, I would tune into him. I almost said his name, which doesn't matter, I guess. I would tune into him and be able to see and feel exactly where he is, where he was. And it was incredibly dark. He was going through the dark night, which it may seem mean, but we would laugh about when when I would get these downloads about him, about where he was and how depressed he was and that he was actually at death's door sometimes. We didn't laugh about that. The thing that we laughed about was that when we think about our twins in any type of emotional anguish, depression, even things like that, we laugh because we know they're changing. It's growing pains, and for us twins, that often the hope is that these growing pains are going to lead to union. I no longer, I know, I never did want to. Well, there was a time through this twin flame lesson that I didn't care who hurt. I just wanted to be with my twin. but I'm not that. I'm not even that person. Like my essence surely certainly isn't that, and my persona is not that anymore either. Uh, I I know that if I get to be in union with my twin in this lifetime on this physical plane, then it will be for my highest good. And if it's for my highest good, it's for everybody else's highest good too. It's for their highest growth, their soul's evolution. Yeah. So so it feels really, really amazing to have released so much more resistance. And all of the practice has been, and I always knew it would be worth it. Yeah, it's been worth it. So, Ancients, is there anything else we want to talk about? I can't stop smiling. Just this feeling, because I was whining to the Ancients, where's the joy of being? Where is it? I get little glimpses of it, but I've certainly been feeling it now. It's just being in our natural state in these physical forms equals just this way of thinking that is effortless, that doesn't create any resistance in me. Oh, right. Yeah. So I know that I have said that, and I had to get there. My persona had to get to the place where I absolutely 100% said, if my twin, if even if he gets divorced, I will not speak to him. I had to get to that place in myself. And the ancients were quick to say once again, which they've been saying for years and years now, if your twin contacts you, hold satsang with him. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I will. I'll hold satsang with him. And what satsang is, because the mind can want to overcomplicate satsang, and it's just a heart to heart conversation. And I don't rely on the other person being honest because I know whether they're being honest or not. I have a very sharp gift of discernment. I encountered somebody just a few days ago that I've been acquaintances with for about 20 years now. She was a pharmacist when I met her, and a bit younger than I am. And recently, I saw her working somewhere else, and we had a pleasant interaction the first time I saw her, and a few weeks go by, and I just saw her again a few days ago, and she started telling me that she was getting kicked out of where she was living, and that she's been very, very sick, and she's been talking about the ex in-laws. She was talking about them, and just these facial expressions that she had, and she kept saying mishmash or tish tosh or something. Yeah, they're just mishmash, and she'd wrinkle her face up, and um I was just like, oh, yeah. I said, well, there's no other feeling than not knowing where you're going to go. I mean, there's no other anxiety than that. And she's just like, yeah, I just hate packing. And I was just like, I didn't know what to say to her. There was nothing to say to that. I mean, she was facing homelessness, she's saying, but she was bitching about having to pack. Okay, there's something wrong with this picture. So I said, do you want my number? And she said, yes, please. And I said, I wish I could do something. I wish there was something I could do for you. And she said, pray for me. And I said, I absolutely will. And even her saying, pray for me, it was a demand. I noticed that. I notice everything when I'm talking to somebody. People are just fascinating to me. And the way for me to not go down any bad roads with people is to pay very, very close attention to how I'm feeling in their presence, to what they're saying, how they're feeling, how they're saying what they're saying. Does it have any life to it? Or are they just talking? Are they lying? Are they lying their ass off right now? So I gave her my number, and then she called me the next morning. This was just a couple mornings ago. And she she was saying the F word. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd never pictured her like this at all. I had a completely different picture of her. for the last 20 years. She was swearing and she was repeating herself, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning. She kept repeating herself and just toxic. She didn't want solution. I noticed that pretty quick because my natural MO of just automatically holding satsang with people is when I'm talking to them and they're open to satsang, they're open to what the divine wants to tell them, what the ancients want to say to them. I don't say that to everybody though. Oh, the ancients are saying, even though they are. I don't always say that. It just comes through me and I'm just like, oh yeah, right? Have you thought about, calling the police? Because I'm pretty sure it's illegal to be kicked out in 3 days, especially in the wintertime. And she was just like, yeah, I've been told that I should probably do that. And so when she called me, I mentioned that again. So what do you think? Maybe call the police? And she said, yeah, why don't you get me that information? And I was just like, get you the information? I said, I think that you could probably handle that on your own. And I was starting to feel highly agitated by her energy. She definitely felt like a taker. She felt like an energy vampire. And she mentioned I said, you mentioned the packing again. And when I was facing homelessness, I wasn't talking about packing. I was just trying to stay very calm and not freak out. And just so you know, when I was homeless, every single family member of mine offered for me to stay with them. And I've always been on the express train for ascension. And I had a lot of fear to shed. And I knew that letting myself, like just falling into the homeless situation, would shed a lot of fear. I was like literally physically shaking. Violently. I was shedding so much fear through that process. I can laugh about it now. I never in a million years thought I would be laughing about it. But I do feel like it helped me shed a lot of fear a lot faster than I would have. Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend it though. Don't be homeless if it's a choice. Well, I can't really say that because that may be your path. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Just the magic that I witnessed, not having I wasn't homeless because I had my car for a while until that broke down, and I had a tent. So I was never out in the woods without at least a tent or the car for the first little while. So anyway, yeah, I know I was talking about my gift of discernment. That's why I brought that woman up. And also she's Russian, and she said, of course I have a really bad temper because I'm Russian. I said, oh, I didn't know those went hand in hand. She said, you bet they do. And then she said, yeah, I've called myself Putin's mistress. And I was just like, really? Really? She said, no, I'm just kidding. And when I told my mom when I told Moonstar that, what she said, Moonstar immediately said, no, she wasn't kidding. No, she wasn't. I said, I know she wasn't. So, Ancients, is that it for now? It seemed like there was something else. What was the whole point of that? Right, holding satsang with people. They don't have to be honest. I trust my intuition. I definitely crossed paths with a sociopath a couple years ago. Sociopath or psychopath, I'm not sure, but he didn't have regular emotions, and so I wasn't picking up on how he was feeling, and it was very confusing. And I got myself into a very scary situation. But got out. There was two, Ruth and Bud. There were two older people that had dropped their physical form. And when I went to this man's house to go see it, to go check it out, to clean it, no, that's not why I was there. that's not what he had in mind. And all of a sudden, Bud and Ruth showed up. I thought that guy was going to pass out. It scared him so bad. And I was just like, wow, they seem really sweet though. But they weren't letting me step over this threshold. I don't know why I went down that road. And I was just like, oh, wow, there's a man right in front of me. Like, this guy was going back into this super dark part of the house. This house was like a maze. It was so scary. I have a video. It's called Don't Go in the House, all about what happened with him. And yeah, I just couldn't feel what he was feeling. I couldn't feel his bad intentions at all. But I learned a lot from that. And I don't just go by that. I go by a whole bunch of different things. To not get myself in any bad situations. Yeah, so anyway, when Bud showed up, I was just like, oh, there's a older gentleman standing in front of me right now. And he was just like, what? I said, yeah, he's standing right in front of me. And later I realized that he was standing in between me and that man. And then all of a sudden Ruth showed up and I was just like, oh my gosh, there's an older woman here too. Oh, it's Bud's wife. And he said, that would be Ruth. His eyes were just huge. He was just like, and like rubbing his arm. He's just like, geez, you're giving me the EBGBs right now. And I said, and I had my hand on my chest the whole time I was in that house too. And I was just like, I got to get out of here. And I turned around and ran down the hall and took a left out the kitchen and busted out the kitchen door. Oh my gosh. And I went out in the yard and I took my shoes off. I still didn't know how much danger I had been in. I was not 100% aware of it yet. I just knew that I couldn't breathe in that house and it felt bad. And I ripped my shoes off and put my bare feet in the grass and I was bent over and had my hands on my knees and I was just like, it was just like I had been holding my breath the whole time in there. It was bad. It was so bad. I went back a few days later and the actual owner of the house, he didn't even own the house. The actual owner of the house and his granddaughter was there. And I asked about that man and I told them what happened. And the man was like over 90 years old. And he said, yep, that sounds like him. And I was just like, really? Really? He goes, yeah. And the granddaughter, like she was in her 20s, but she was just like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And I said, I wouldn't be around him if I were you. And she's just like, I won't. And yeah, it was creepy. And months went by and I never saw his truck again until the day I made that video, Don't Go in the House. It was 2 or 3 months later and the ancients were just yelling at me, you need to make that video about you cannot just trust your intuition. You cannot. You just don't go in a house with a man to know for any reason. Don't go in a house with a man that you don't know. It doesn't matter if it's broad daylight and there's other houses around. No. Oh my gosh. What if you can't see dead people? I mean, they saved my life. They really, really did. I don't think that he would have killed me, but it wouldn't have been good. Okay, that's a bad road, but it's a good lesson though too. It's a really good lesson because I would have said there is no way that I would ever get myself into a really bad situation because I can feel if it's a bad person, but no, you can't, especially really, really bad people. They're saying they're the worst of the worst. You cannot feel that. And they can act like the nicest person in the world. I know this turned into a really creepy video, right? Oh, geez. What's my point? Anyway, yeah. So if my twin ever messages me or calls me, I already feel how he's feeling. So, I know that he's not having a great time. Yeah, this twin flame lesson. It's not for the faint of heart. Anyway, I wouldn't change it for anything. It's just helped me grow so much. And now that it doesn't slay me on a daily basis, it's fine. Having a friend hang out on the astral. All right, that's it. Now I'm just kind of rambling. saltsongwithmamaji@gmail.com. Love you so much.